Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. And for you guys today, I have a very special one. And basically what happened was, first of all, I'm in a different setting. I'm not in the original room I was in. Because I have been making a new setup room for me. And currently I am in my bedroom filming, and yeah. But in today's video, I have a very special tournament for you. I was invited to the Waltham online UFCF chess tournaments. And Waltham is a chess club in the United States, I don't know where, but I was invited after being spotted in a USCF online tournament, and was given the opportunity to play some of its finest members. And in fact, I played in a tournament yesterday. It was 5-minute blitz plus 2-second increments. So it was more of a less of a super long blitz tournament. And yeah, let's get into it. So I'm around 1700 or 1800 blitz, and I was the highest rated opponent in this tournament, hilariously enough. And I start off with e4. My opponent plays e5, and basically I've been playing a lot of Italian now, but I start off with bishop c4. And so I play bishop c4, and we get the Berlin, and I decided to do a little dubious gambit and play d4, and this is like the Ponziani gambit, I think, and he declines it, and so I take, and we trade off the queens, because this is just terrible for black. Black needs to castle, and playing this decline structure is not the way to go. It's better just to take the pawn, which they should do. But he declined, made his position worse, got a free pawn out of it, developed my knight, developed my other bishop, and now I'm planning to castle long, because he's damaged my structure, and his king is pinned to the piece. He should have pretty much castled, I think, in my opinion. But oh wait, sorry, he can't castle. That's why I'm better. Anyways, he moves his knight, and he's planning to fork my king and my bishop, but I long castle, and now this knight is a permanent weakness into the position. He can't castle, he has to move his king out of the way, and I can just apply pressure. Bishop e3, he has to move his king out of the way. I go all the way back, he takes a piece, but forgets that his bishop is hanging, so I take a free piece, and now I simplify, and it's pretty smooth sailing all the way out. I mean, I had 4 minutes on the clock to start with. He had 50, he only used 15 seconds technically of his time, and yeah, I make this nice pawn wall, and now I can chase the king into my position, and soon here I played rook here so that I can play pawn a3 mate, and he took my pawn, and I mated him. So 27 moves in, we had a very good start, and I was feeling very confident. It was against a 1400. I didn't know 1400s play like this, but I guess that's how it works. Anyways, being 1-for-1, I was paired up against another high opponent. I think he was like the third highest rated opponent, and Bulldog Bone and I were playing a game. And Bulldog Bone starts off with e4, and of course, you know what I do. I play the Caro Kann, but he plays this push variation to fianchetto, well, not fianchetto, to en passant. Sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up. I love mixing up my words. That's the great thing about YouTube, is the commentary. You get better as you put out more videos. He en passants, but this is still the Caro structure I know. All I just gotta do is pretty much move the pawn and just play normal chess, get the structure I want, operate the e-file for my rook. He decides to put a little battery, but bring my bishop back, and he plays very well, and then I make my first mistake, and technically I'm down a pawn if I played this move. A move that would have been fine that I also was thinking was simply something like knight a3. Not knight a3, pawn a3. You get to laugh at me all you want as I continue to do my analysis, but like I was saying, pawn a3 was just a waiting move, and this is pretty much a draw. But I played this, and I lose a pawn, and yeah, this is kind of losing. But notice I kept holding on to the position. I didn't let him get too crazy, and I just kind of maneuver my pieces in such a way. And he starts getting low on time. He's 30 seconds to my 1 minute. We did a lot of thinking, and he ended up losing on time here. So, very interesting. But he played at a 95% accuracy, but I still held my ground and did a really good job. So, I think that, yeah, this game was very good. Other than making the mistake in the middle game, where I simply, if we go back, I put my knight here as an outpost. But if the knight here wasn't occupying this knight move would have been good. But I realized later, I spent 10 seconds on a move that I regretted. But I ended up holding the position long enough for him to lose on time. And even though he's up 2 pawns, it's still not clear how he needs to navigate. It's going to take a long game for sure. But yeah, I won game 2, and then we went on to game 3. And game 3 was against this guy. He was also undefeated, and he was 3 for 3 as well. And we go for Alkine's defense. And I have a very interesting history with the Alkine, or Alakines, I think it's called. And yeah, I drew him in the last game we played in the Alkine's defense. The funny thing is that I played a tournament before this one, and we drew a game after repetition because I was dead lost. But he decided to play a Scandinavian version, and I like this idea of going d4, and basically if he takes, going pawn c3, and kind of like having temporary doubled pawns. But I don't mind this because it's on the queen side. If it's on the king side, maybe it would be a little bit interesting. He fianchettos, and so I bring up my bishop, and then bring up my queen, and decide to put all this pressure on this knight. Basically saying, hey, I'm not going to allow you to get what you want. He decides to solidify his knight, and after all the trades, we get into a drawish position on the board. Black has a minuscule advantage, but I long castle, play for this dark squared pawn chain, because he has a dark squared bishop. I do too, but I plan to trade off the bishops. I bring my rook to the file, and trade off the bishops, and now it's just a rook and pawn endgame. And I just need to, somehow figure this out. Also, this is losing because he can just go rook a6, and now my pawn isn't defended. And I completely forgot about this later into the analysis that I was doing later. I was like, oh my goodness, I just hung a pawn. Why did I do that? He was completely winning after this. But unfortunately, my opponent didn't see that. And he just played for, captures and captures. And when it comes to pawn and king endgames, I know them with the back of my hand. You just bring your king to the center. And then I like to make this breakout move here. And if he plays the right moves, it's a complete draw. But if I can get my king to his weak pawn and promote, that's all I needed to do. I went over here, he moved there, he took, which is bad. What he should have done is he should have gone like in and around here and try and collect my pawns on this side. We would have had queens, I think, on the board, and just a whole bunch of checks and possibly repetition of just a whole bunch of checks. But he takes here, and now he allows me to play king b5 and allow me to promote with ease. King chased down the board, opposition, and he resigned. So, I was now 4 for 4. Or 3 for 3, sorry. And then we go to the next game. And this is the second highest rated opponent. There's a little history about this opponent. He beat me with the Polish in the last tournament, and I was not very happy because it was a blitz tournament and I kind of lost a few points. I resigned in a position where he was winning, but barely, but I thought he had checkmate. and simply there was just this move, I think f4, hilariously enough, but we won't talk about it. And yeah, by the way, all these games or players were in a Zoomed call together for fair play checks and whatever. So he was in the Zoom call, and we decided to be matched up against one another. And I was kind of chuckling because I was like, oh man, this is hilarious. What should I play? Should I play the Polish? Should I do it again for a second time? But I was like, no, I'm gonna play e4. I want to win, go for a win. And he plays the French, and I've been playing a lot of Tarrasch, or I think it's Tarrasch. Yeah, the Tarrasch variation where you go knight to d2. I've been liking this a lot. But I just decided to exchange, and yeah, I get into this drawish position, and hilariously enough, after he played knight to d7, or b to d7, he offered me a draw. And I started laughing. I was like, there's no way this man offered me to draw. Let's just see how it goes. It's a drawish position. If you're able to draw it, let's do it. So, play all the pieces, get a little bit of exchange. I decide to operate this e-file with control. He goes here, takes my bishop. I bring back my knight off the square, and he's got these very, very nice bishops, I do have to say, and he likes utilizing his bishops a lot, which are very potent. But I decide to trade one of the bishops off and put my knight on this knight to c5 square, and I really like it. I don't care about this, otherwise I'll take. Let's say he goes here, I will simply just take, or I can go back to d3 depending on what I'll do. That's what happened in the game. I took, and then I go queen to h5, and kind of just like, I don't know, ask questions. Are you ready to defend your position well? He plays the best move, king to g7. I bring my rook into the game, and on this like outpost, we get a trade. And yeah, this is pretty much a draw. But I decide to ask questions. I start to push my pawns. My queen is in a very peculiar spot. It's not supposed to be barricaded and hidden by all these pawns, but it wasn't too bad. And I go king to f2, trying to get my king because I know we're gonna get a trade. This is him offering a trade to me, and we get a trade. And trade some pieces. This is a complete draw. If played correctly, he goes here, I go here, and yeah, this is now like a minuscule winning advantage, but that's if he plays everything right. The only move for him is a4. He does. I play b4, and then he's supposed to check me here, and life is good, but he took the pawn. And this is bad, because your king is in a weird spot where you can get Zhuchwag, and after I take, you have to either push or go back. And if you push, I can actually play king d2 as the Zhuchwag move, but he goes back, and now this pawn's not going to survive. I play Zhuchwag move, and now he has no more moves. He loses this piece automatically. He can go here, like king here or king here, but I have the pawn majority, and this is completely lost. I take the pawn, I go here, give him a check, and just easily take him out. And yeah, that's literally the difference between an 1800 and a 1700. Is the games were really tight. We had this French exchange where it looked pretty drawable with these pawns, but like I said, like the last game, it was another pawn endgame, and I completely crushed because I know my pawn endgames. I know my king and pawn endgames like with the back of my hand, and believe it or not, I have put them at the most superiority, with the most superiority, because I lost a game with pawns, with a king and pawn endgame, and I resigned in a winning position. And I put them, I've been making sure to play pawn and king endgames to the absolute accuracy of like making no mistakes. I can't make a mistake in king and pawn endgames. Like, it's rare for me to lose at this level, and I did it with such perfection. I mean, this is great. But then we go to the last game. I'm 4 for 4, okay? And I'm like, okay, I can win the tournament technically. technically, but I had one more final opponent. I could go for a perfect score. But this opponent was very weird. I beat him in the first round, or in another chess tournament, before this one, and he's very strong. He's 1400, but he's more than just 1400. I think he had gained over 100 points in a week, so he is not 1300. He's not your typical player. He's very strong, and he plays this English, and I decided to go for an English Caro. I've been kind of learning the English Caro and just understanding its ideas, because usually if someone plays in English, I don't like to go into the crazy theory of knight f6 and do the Anglo-English, which sometimes is losing, and I just play my Caro setup all easy. He doesn't go into crazy lines where he was provoking my knight. He did this in the last game that we played against one another, but it was very good. I had a very nice advantage, and then I brought my pieces in, and I really like this position. And in fact, I think this is winning, because I think I gain up a pawn. We do a little bit of shuffling. We were both very even on time. I think we were using quite a lot of our time. Found this nice fork, but it's not a fork because you can just trade off the pieces. And yeah, I had a very nice position, but I needed to put more pressure, bring the bishop in, but that never happened. I continued to have this nice lead, but I just could not figure out how to break this barricade. Everything is literally perfect. I guess according to the game analysis, it says queen b2 is winning, and queen a2 is winning, and even taking with the bishop is winning. Like, I did not know how this was winning, and in fact, he played this, and now I'm losing a pawn. And I was like, oh no. Oh goodness. But, it was time trouble for me. I had 40 seconds on the clock. Then he played this move, and I was like, wait, I can just draw this out, take the pawn. And now I'm winning again, because now I'm up a pawn. But it didn't seem so sure, because we were probably going to go for a repetition. And honestly, I'm thinking now I should have gone for a repetition, because technically, I guess, okay, g5. I wouldn't play g5 because it just ruins the pawn structure here. And I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna try and figure this out, right? And then I had 10 seconds left, and I struggled, and I looked at the time and I said, oh no. And 10 seconds left, I gotta make a move, and I impulsively made king f6 and lost the game on the spot. And this would be the only blunder of the tournament, hilariously enough. I played all my other games perfectly, and then, yeah, this was the final game, and nothing was working. He sacked the rook, he's got the pawn, and it's a passer too, along with his bishop. He queens, and I resigned. Which was very sad. But at the end of the tournament, I won. Hilariously enough, I won the tournament. I got first place, scoring 4 out of 5. It's funny because I beat Captain Eggy, and then Captain Eggy beat Chess Player, but Chess Player beat me, and so it was kind of a hilarious way of like trying to figure out the tie breaks. But I think I just had a little bit of an edge on the tiebreak by literally half of a point. So, yes, it was a very good game, and a very good tournament. There were 12 participants in total, and even though it's small, it's still UFCF rated. So I will get a rating boost maybe, or it may decline depending on my opponent's ratings. I don't know my opponent's ratings, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated, and thank you guys for watching. This was a tournament, and yeah, I feel like I'm getting better, and I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I'm continuing to practice with puzzles and 15-10 minute games. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.